Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, it's time to have a look and see just what is going on when it comes to your week starting November 22nd, 2021. And just a quick reminder for all y'all out there, if you are watching your rising sign forecast, remember your rising sign is giving you additional clarity as to how a great deal of your sun sign forecast is showing up. And your moon sign, well, that's going to be giving you the less prominent, albeit still significant side story that's also playing out throughout the course of the week. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. This week, your big spiritual theme is the Two of Swords reversed. And it is time for you Sagittarius people to start creating a series of new commitments or commitments to new roads. Pick a lane, as it were, as the Two of Swords reversed is basically indicating that a lot of circumstances are coming up this week where spaces where you've been kind of keeping options up in the air, where you may have vacillated on decisions that you have put off making, calls you've put off making, well, they're all coming due. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, right? That gives us organization, that gives us context, but if we've been kind of stumbling around or we have been maybe waiting for things to make up our mind for us, this is the week where we have to kind of get our head in the game. The interesting thing is, yes, there will of course be circumstances that help make your decision for you, as it were, but you have to be ready to step in with some new conviction, especially when it comes to crossroads you or your family or maybe even your working situation have idled at for far too long. When it comes to your material circumstances, your work, your job, your finances, you do have the Knight of Wands in reverse. And this week, there could be some issues that come up with some flaky behavior around maybe a project or an investment or maybe a group dynamic that is, kind of showing that we need to be taking a much more responsible road or maybe working with more responsible people than people we have on either a home project or a work project. And we may be seeing where something is running under threat of either failing, stalling, or regressing due to scatterbrained behavior. And this could be something going on with a client, or a customer that's maybe not taking their role in the situation seriously, or it could be a colleague messing up, or possibly something going on with a policy, or even relatives if this is a family or home matter. But with the Knight of Wands reversed, we have to find a way to, tighten up our ship, as it were, so there are no leaks, there are no challenges. Otherwise, with the Knight of Wands reversed, we could be in for some disappointment. So if you've been playing it loosey-goosey, if you've been letting people have their journey with your resources, with your territory, with your security, and with your space, stop. When it comes to your community, when it comes to your friends, your relatives, other people in your life, you do have the Seven of Wands upright. This actually is really, really good news here. I feel like a lot of you Sagittarius people are going to be finding that you are getting a lot of backup this week in situations where either you've had to go it alone, or maybe you have been confronting some kind of obstacle or some kind of force that has maybe, it's just too much for one person or a small group to take on with the resources that they have. And with the Seven of Wands, in comes the cavalry, so to speak. This could be a friend or a relative showing up and putting their weight behind you, putting their might behind you. This could also be somebody actually going out of their way to maybe even help you fight some kind of battle on a different front or from another flank, as it were. With the Seven of Wands, it does look like with this assistance, you're able to whip some kind of social, or possibly, if this relates to the Knight of Wands reverse situation, material or financial circumstance into shape very, very quickly. But this does also mean we set up a new normal so that it doesn't happen again. When it comes to your challenge this week, you've got the Nine of Swords reversed, an unnecessarily guilty conscience. This is a week where a lot of you guys have got to see where we may be giving inches to be taken for miles. paying pounds for pennies. And this is a time where, if you have been too permissive or you have been too indulgent, you've just been humoring people, you may have set up a habit of thinking that sticking up for yourself or maybe even speaking up about a very clear problem is almost a step too far when it's not. And sometimes that can happen, right? Especially if a precedent is set that, no, we only focus on these issues, or only these people are important, or only this project is important, or only this person is important, or they got here first, or that kind of thing. This is a week where you've got to be okay with making calls that are in the highest interest of all concerned that may be unpopular. You may also need to make calls in the highest interest of all concerned that may not necessarily feel validating or affirming to people that you could actually be codependently enabling consciously or unconsciously, right? But sometimes, as I've said it before, things that make us feel invalidated are true. And affirmation, and validation can often be irrelevant. There is such a thing as being too supportive. Sometimes you have to back off when you realize you're supporting somebody to create something negative, or you're supporting something negative being created in your space, and avoid allowing yourself to succumb to a guilty conscience when you actually might be doing the right thing. When it comes to your relationships with love, romance, and partnerships, we do have the Three of Pentacles in reverse. And this week, it does look like there could be some issues coming up with a partnership where the roles or the responsibilities, the duties of all parties involved, whether it's you and your partner, or maybe you and an intended, you and a crush, someone you desire, need to be redefined. I think that what's happening here is that a lot of people might be kind of stepping into spaces where they're not necessarily playing to their strength, right? They're not utilizing their expertise very well. And this is going to set us up for some teamwork headbutting, right? Because if people are not necessarily playing to their strengths, they're just playing to a role, they could be really messing up the role. And it's not anyone's fault. I always tell people, I suck at math. You do not want me in charge of anything that has math involved. Where am I good? I'm a good writer. I'm a good illustrator. I'm a good psychic. And I am a good speaker, right? I've got a pretty vast vocabulary. So keep me away from the math unless you want to fail. There may be situations that come up in a very similar light with partnerships, and insecurities may flare up at this time. But again, it's nothing personal. I wouldn't take it personal if said, don't let Nico do the math. I'd be like, please, that's really smart. And, we have to take that attitude sometimes, especially when it comes to running a tighter ship in general, as we've spoken about already in this reading. You may notice that new partnerships may also have a very similar flavor to them. If we are to embark on a new partnership, we can't just, assume the old roles or the old style or the old stencil of a relationship plan that we did before, or we had in the past, or even the one that we were raised with, which is fine. Adaptability is a sign of evolution. Adaptability is required for evolution. And so it could actually be a very thrilling experience as well. But we have to make sure that we do not have any teamwork breakdowns as we learn. So that is what I've got for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And should you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.